Hey there gamers, I'm probably Senpai and welcome to your weekly Dreamlight Valley breakdown. This week's big topic is going to be Dreamlight Valley's recent response to the growing concern and backlash from players. But will it be enough to turn things around? Following that, I'll be checking the mail to see how I did on the snack bar challenge, and then sharing my submission to YouTube for the first time. Of course, as usual, we'll also be taking a look at this week's brand new Dreamsnap challenge, and providing a full review and showcase of this week's premium shop lineup. Before we get started, I'd like to mention that I'm a small full-time content creator, so every like on these videos can make a tremendous difference for me. Consider subscribing for more Disney Dreamlight Valley and gaming content. If you would like to ask me questions in real time and get to know our growing community, you can do so by heading over to our Twitch channel, where I stream Dreamlight Valley Monday through Friday. Links to my Twitch channel and Discord server can be found in the video description down below. And with that out of the way, let's get started. Hello and happy refresh day, everybody. Now, as mentioned in the intro of today's video, the first topic we'll be diving into is the Dreamlight Valley devs' response to the recent criticism and overall frustration surrounding the bugs and crashes that came along with Update 10 and the patch that followed. Now, if for some reason you're out of the loop on all of this controversy, this is actually the topic we covered in last Wednesday's weekly breakdown. If you missed that video, don't worry, I'll have it linked down below in the video description so you can find it easily. But odds are you're already aware of the problems the community has been facing. Interestingly, the day after that video was published, one of Dreamlight Valley's developers posted an update in the official Dreamlight Valley Discord server. Now, I want to be clear, I'm not saying they were responding directly to my video. I'm far from the first creator to call out these issues or talk about them, but this update did seem to directly address most of the things I brought up in the previous video. And before I give you my opinions on this update or response from the devs, I'm going to share it with you first so you can form your own opinions. This recent update came from Ryan, who you may recognize as the Disney Dreamlight Valley team's community manager. We wanted to let you know that your voices are being heard about issues currently present in the game, and sincerely thank you for your time and effort in reporting these issues. The Valley is made so magical because of its passionate community, and we want to make sure we're doing right by you. As we work towards our next content update, the following issues are being treated as top priorities by the team as we investigate fixes for them: game crashes, objects appearing as invisible, and inability to accept event quests. The post then goes on to say, as we evaluate next steps for these issues, we wanted to ensure we provide some support in the interim. First off, we have compensation. We are currently distributing in-game mail to all players that should help offset the issues impacting accepting event quests. This includes both moonstones and green buttons, which can be used to craft event rewards. And number 2, issue workaround. Should you run into an issue accepting daily quest or find that objects have disappeared in your valley, rebooting the game has been observed to help alleviate both issues. If you are just concerned about accessing daily quest, launching, closing, and then relaunching the game at the beginning of your play session has been noted to help. While we acknowledge this may not be ideal, we hope that it assists in mitigating any challenges in the interim. Issues that disrupt your experience in the valley and get in the way of enjoying in-game events are understandably frustrating, so it is essential to us that getting these issues resolved is our utmost priority. We appreciate your patience and support in reporting these issues. Okay, so there are a few things with this response that I do want to touch on. Unfortunately, there was no mention of another patch coming around before the next update, which I guess if you think about it might be a good thing because the last patch just made things a bit worse. This does unfortunately mean we'll probably be dealing with these bugs all the way up until the Mulan update. Now, of course, the Dreamlight Parks event will be over by then, so I guess that's one less bug to deal with, but things like game stability and the disappearing furniture issue may be sticking around for a few more weeks. Now, there is a chance that we get a patch before Mulan, as Ryan's post did leave that open-ended for us, stating that these issues were the dev team's highest priority and that they were evaluating the next steps and investigating. So the reason they can't really tell us, yes, there's a patch coming, or we're sorry you're gonna have to wait for the next update before things are fixed, is simply because they don't have that answer right now. But on the bright side, they are listening and taking the matter seriously. As for the compensation, if you checked your mail, you've likely already claimed your 150 green buttons and your 500 moonstones. But the big question here is, was this enough to appease frustrated players? And honestly, that's something only the players can answer. And as far as the issue workaround, it was nice seeing Ryan share how we can work around these bugs, while simultaneously acknowledging that the workaround was not ideal and that our frustrations were valid. Overall, I'm fairly pleased with the dev response on this, for the most part. While this update and response did a good job addressing bugs and stability, it didn't at all acknowledge the negative sentiment and player frustration surrounding this season's monetization issues, which honestly have been discussed just as much as the bugs. And what I'm referring to here is something we've covered numerous times since Update 10 released. Now, while this does disappoint me, I want to be clear here that we probably shouldn't blame the devs for this. When community managers like Ryan do post a response, it usually has to be greenlit by the suits, which are the people at Gameloft that oversee the development team. It's very likely that they're just not letting them address the Moonstone issues at all. So while the star paths get worse and the premium items get better, players raise concerns and the suits at Gameloft say, I don't want you to touch on that. And if you were disappointed with our compensation being a mere 500 moonstones, when we've seen the most expensive premium shop lineups and the most disappointing star path, you can likely also blame the higher ups, as I'm sure the Dreamlight Valley developer team has to get approval anytime they send out premium currency. This is because big companies like Gameloft like to have strict control on their in-game economy when it comes to premium currency. What I'm getting at here is the monetization practices are frustrating, and it's even more frustrating that they weren't addressed at all. And the 500 moonstones almost feels a bit like a spit in the face at this point. But we shouldn't blame the devs. From what I've seen, the developer team is a hardworking, passionate, and caring group. They truly do care about this game and this community. That much is obvious to me. Of course, they've made mistakes, there's been bugs and issues, but sadly, that's not too uncommon with live service games. Moving forward, I just hope the suits at Gameloft know that the more aggressive they get with the monetization practices, the more harm it will do to the game in the long term. Sure, in the short term it might make them more money, but what about 1 year or 2 years from now? And that's the big question. With that, we have a lot of other topics to cover today, so that'll be it on this response. That said, I would love to know your thoughts and opinions on the way the developer team and Gameloft are handling these recent issues. Let's move on to happier topics and greener pastures as we take a look at my Dreamsnap results for the Snack Bar Decor Challenge. Okay, and here we are. It looks like we scored 83.83 and ranked 752, maintaining our 4,000 moonstone streak. Now, this challenge was one I actually enjoyed a lot more than I thought I would. Don't get me wrong, theme park stuff is fun, but, you know, I've done a few theme parks for Dreamsnaps. I did it with Dreamers Unite, I did it with A Day at Disney, and I did it with DIY Theme Park. But I must admit, doing a food court approach was quite different and ended up being enjoyable. And with that, let's take a look at this submission. Alright, and here we are. This is my theme park snack bar submission. Now, one of the first things I want to touch on here is my choice of border. And if you're wondering why I have these big, bold borders, well, there just so happens to be a really annoying bug where sometimes grass just shows up through the pathing. So even though the whole area was paved, the bottom of my photo was just covered in grass. It looked so weird. After restarting my game multiple times and dealing with disappearing items, I was getting so frustrated and I said, you know what, enough's enough. I'll just hide the grass with borders. So yeah, that's why there's borders, but you know what, I kind of like them, so I guess it worked out. Now that I've explained that, let's start with the foreground and work our way back. The foreground of this shot includes 4 picnic tables, the new popcorn buckets, my avatar, and the popcorn squirrel. I put the Winnie the Pooh popcorn buckets at the very front just because they're adorable. The rest of them went onto the picnic tables, and I put a couple of Stitch ones by the partner statue. With the popcorn buckets being a big part of this new event, and with this being a challenge about food courts and snack bars, I felt like this would be a great chance to utilize these new items. And the same goes for the popcorn squirrel. As for the avatar's outfit, it's mostly from the previous Disney Park Star Path. Of course, you can't have a food court without some dining options, so I included the new ice cream stand, Pizza Planet, the pretzel stand, and the new Confectioner Premium House. In front of Pizza Planet, I also provided a bit of extra seating with the new umbrella tables and chairs from the current Star Path. At the center of the food court, you'll notice the partner statue, accompanied with these 2 park banners, and for some additional park aesthetics, we've got the Tower of Terror, the Curious Labyrinth, the Pixar Pal Around, and even the ship from the Wild Tangle, which is a reference to Miss Tilly's ship, an iconic landmark which can be found at Disney's water park Typhoon Lagoon. Overall, I was really happy with how this all came together, even though I had to deal with some really frustrating bugs while I worked on it. I do wish the moon was a bit lower in the sky, but I spent so much time working around bugs that I didn't really have time to adjust anything else or wait for another opportunity. If you came across this Dreamsnap and you liked it enough to vote for it, thank you so much. And now, let's take a look at this week's brand new Dreamsnap Challenge. And here we are, you guys. We have Treasure Trove, a brand new decor challenge that states, embrace this golden opportunity to turn somewhere in your valley into your personal secret treasure stash. Our mandatory requirements are going to be 3 lavish and 5 wondrous, while our bonus tags are going to be yellow and strong. Now, if you know me, you already know I love pirate themes. And of course, this doesn't have to be a pirate theme. You could do treasure themes that don't involve pirates, I guess, but I want to involve pirates. This definitely looks like it'll be a really fun challenge, and it's been months and months since we had like a piratey kind of challenge. So I'm excited to see what players come up with. And with that, let's move on to the next topic, this week's premium lineup. Alright, and here we are, some very exciting things in the shop this week. Of course, after we review this lineup, I'll be providing a full showcase on all of the new items so you can see them for yourself. First up, we have our newest premium home, which is going to be the Jungle House. Now, this looks really cool and coincidentally would work quite well with the newest Dreamsnap challenge. This just looks like such a fun and creative little home. The fact that it's a ship bow at the front and it's kind of been made into this little cabin or home. Now, this premium house does come in at only 3,000 moonstones, which is great, but I will say it does appear to have a good amount of detail for a 3,000 moonstone premium house. Next up, we have Trader Sam's Shop. Now, this item is going to run you 1,200 moonstones, which seems very reasonable. It's got some good detail, there are a lot of little items and knickknacks in there, and it's just nice to have something else that works with like a marketplace, because we did get those craftable market stalls in the Eternity Isle expansion. I've seen some really cool marketplace builds, and I feel like they would really benefit from having something like this. Next up, it appears we actually do have a new water item here, which is the Jungle Cruise Boat Bundle. Now, to be clear, this bundle seems to come with just 2 pieces. You get the broken Jungle Cruise Boat and the not broken Jungle Cruise Boat. Now, these are both listed as attractions, and they do both carry the Disney tag. This bundle is going to cost players 1,750 moonstones, which isn't too bad of a price, as I think we all really want more water decor. There aren't a lot of things in the game that you can place on water, so I'm really happy to see some new options. And our last new item of this week is going to be Goofy's new dream style, the Great Goofini, coming in at 2,500 moonstones. Now, I say this all the time, but it it just bears repeating. Can we please get dream styles for the villagers that don't have dream styles yet? Like last week, you guys gave us the King Kristoff suit. Why couldn't that have been a King Kristoff dream style? My man Goofy already has a dream style. I mean, Mickey's already got 3. On top of that, Goofy's existing dream style is Disney park theme. So it already works really well with the current star path and decor and theme. I don't think we really needed another one, but I mean, I do like this one more. I think it looks fun. All I'm saying is maybe instead of having us stack up like multiple dream styles for certain villagers, we make some for other villagers. I don't know, that's just my 2 cents. You don't have to agree, that's just where I am on it. Following our new items, it appears we only have 1 returning Star Path item this week, which is going to be the Magical Squirrel. And I'm guessing he's 2,000 Moonstones, you guys can let me know if I'm wrong there. Aside from that, we have 1 returning Premium Shop House, and 2 returning Premium Shop Bundles. The Snuggly Duckling Tavern, the Hercules Landscaping Set, and something that would go over quite well with this week's current Dreamsnap challenge, the Privateer set. So now that we've discussed this lineup, I'll pick up these items and we'll see how they look in this week's Premium Shop Showcase. So first off, I gotta talk about this new Goofy Dream Style. Now I know I was just saying that we don't need another Goofy Dream Style, but I also did say I really do like it. So, you know, I mean, it's really fun and, well, goofy. As you can see here, the Dream Style is fairly loaded with good detail and packs a lot of that beautiful patriotic red, white, and blue. I'd have to say my favorite 2 things about this Dream Style would be the funky little goggles on top of his head here, and his absolutely rocking logo on the back of the outfit that reads The Great Goofini. Overall, it is a really fun Dream Style, and if you're a big fan of Goofy and you want some alternate, you know, Goofy looks, well, here it is. Next up, we'll take a look at the Jungle Cruise Boat Bundle. Now, this bundle does look really good. It is quite fun, and like I said, it's just nice to have more water decor. Currently, both Dreamlight Valley and Eternity Isle have a lot of space out on the water that we could decorate, except for the fact that we don't have a lot of options to do that with. And with this bundle giving us not 1, but 2 new water decor items, I'd say it's pretty well worth the purchase. As far as sizing and placement, the wreckage is quite a bit easier to get right up against the ground and doesn't take up nearly as much space, which makes sense. Now, the full boat itself, of course, a lot longer, you're going to need a lot more space, and I don't think it can go on land at all like Prince Eric's ship. It's also worth mentioning that both of these boats, the one that's still afloat and the one that's wrecked, have operating lights. How the sunken boat still draws power is probably, I don't know, Disney magic? It's a mystery to me. If you're looking to pick up more of the Jungle Cruise boats or the broken Jungle Cruise boats, they can both be purchased from Scrooge's store for an additional 1,260 star coins. And for our last 2 items, we have Trader Sam's Shop and the Jungle House. Now, I am quite fond of Trader Sam's Shop, especially with it only being 1,200 Moonstones, as it does offer quite a bit of nice detail. Within the shop, you can see all kinds of goods, like this carved wooden elephant, there's a pearl necklace, there's some paintbrushes, a lantern, a record player, and even an old-timey camera. The detail on the shop itself is also quite nice, like the roofing, the side panels, and the bamboo poles. And while the shop isn't the most well-lit item in the valley, it does offer a couple of small lights in the nighttime hours. And finally, we have the Jungle House. Now, let me just start by pointing out this thing is actually huge. I'm pretty surprised it's a 3,000 Moonstone house given the size and detail. Though, with that in mind, the size of this might actually be a con instead of a pro for many players. Of course, while the house does appear to require a massive amount of space, it does seem that you can decorate and even ignore some of the placement squares under the bow here. As you can see, I'm able to place it right up against this cliff, even though the squares are intersected. Another thing I'll point out is that many items can be placed directly under the bow or right around the ship itself. And you can even put tall items in its placement area. It's just if you go under the bow, that's when it will deny its placement. Touching a bit more on the detail here. You can see a lot of vines and foliage growing on the roof of this thing. You can see the old broken sail on the very top here, some disconnected fish netting, a good bit of rope, and several beautiful sprouting yellow flowers. Now, one thing I do think is kind of a bummer with this house is, it just feels, it kind of breaks the immersion for me, if that makes sense, that there's like an invisible wall here. I know we can't usually walk onto premium houses or platforms, but this one really looks like you should be able to. So the fact that there's just this invisible wall here is, I don't know, it just kind of bums me out. It would be nice if there was a premium house we could engage with a little bit more. And it's also a bit of a bummer that we have this huge deck on this house and we can't put anything on it. No chairs, no tables, no crates, nothing. And maybe that's why the premium house is only $3,000, even though it's big and it's detailed. Maybe they saw that, people would be a little disappointed with the design of it and how it's just going to really limit the way you decorate the surrounding area, I should say. Now at night, the house does look quite good, providing 2 windows and a lantern on the back, 1 lantern on a barrel here on the side, as well as 2 additional hanging lanterns, and a total of 5 front windows. Of course, the big question is this house worth the moonstones? And honestly, I'd say, well, that depends. As far as detail and bang for your buck, this thing is a steal. However, the cumbersome size and annoyingly inaccessible deck might bring the value down a little bit for some of y'all. Personally, I'm happy I have it, and I already have some really fun builds and ideas for this house. So for me at least, it's definitely worth it. But for some of you out there, it may not be a good purchase. And there you have it, my friends. That concludes this week's Dreamlight Valley breakdown. If you found today's video helpful, informative, or simply entertaining, please do me a very big favor and press that like button. Be sure to subscribe for more Disney Dreamlight Valley and gaming content. Oh, and if you happen to be watching this video shortly after it's published, there's a good chance I'm live on Twitch right now. Come by, say hello, and join our growing community. The link to my Twitch channel and Discord server can be found in the video description down below. As always, thank you so much for your time today, and I hope you enjoy this week in Dreamlight Valley. This week's YouTube video shoutout redeemed on Twitch goes to my good friend Gohendad. Thank you for being an active member of our community and always keeping me company in the chat. Always remember that you're a big part of what makes this community so special.